Can we just make a time machine and then send her back to like 1352 and then force her to live life like that and then see what happens? You know? I wish we had a time machine where we can send conservatives back in time, you know? Like every single conservative these days would have been like drawn and quartered. Going back to the type of world that they want to live in.
So what is, you say you're anti-feminism. Feminism was basically a mistake. So what is your problem with feminism? Let's start there. That's a good point, right?
I think that feminism wants equality when it benefits us and not actual equality.
Feminism, and that's, are you going back to the beginning of feminism? Like the whole history of feminism, like women's suffrage and everything?
Yeah, no, I don't.
You don't fuck with
I don't fuck with that human rights.
Women should get the right to vote?
No, I don't.
Okay, so are you serious or are you kidding?
No, I'm serious.
Okay, so women should.
When it comes to right wingers, honestly, it's really hard to tell when they're joking.
Yeah.
Why?
No.
All their positions sound like
because
it.
men are signed up for selective service, so they're fined $300,000 if they don't sign up for selective service when they're 18.
Do you think women should be drafted into the army?
I think if we want the same rights, it comes with the same responsibilities.
Do you think women should be drafted into the army?
No.
Okay, so then there's a paradox.
No, but that's my point.
Yeah,
I'm saying, like, let's make it fair.
You don't believe? Well,
yeah, let's get rid of the draft.
I'm saying that if we are going to vote,
let's ban it.
Have the same cost, which is that men are put into selective service and women are not. And if I had to pick between the two, then I would give up the right to vote instead of sign up for selective service.
Okay,
why?
So you're saying women should only get the right to vote if they sign up for selective service.
Or everybody just gets the right to
women
vote
should not serve in the military.
Is forced to serve in the military.
In your world, women are just going to be disenfranchised because they're not going to be able to sign. They shouldn't serve in the military because they're not as good fighters.
No,
right?
no, I'm saying for me personally, I would not want to sign up for selective service if I.
But you literally said women don't deserve the right to vote.
You think women should be given the choice if they want to do selective service or not?
I think if we're going to vote,
She's
we
should
have no choice
any
like
of her
the men
ideas
do.
before.
So women should be drafted mandatory into selective service, you believe?
No, that's
okay. But don't you see the law? There's an issue. There's a problem here.
I said, if feminists want the right to vote, right, then it should come with the draft. It should come. I mean, it's not called the draft anymore. It's called selective service. Personally, in Pearl's world, I do not want to be drafted. I do not want to be in selective service.
I know, but I'm asking you, like, in general, in terms of policy, because obviously I think it's safe to say women in general want the right to vote, right? And so then, by your logic, women need to be entered into selective service.
Wanting human rights.
Right? But you don't think that should happen, or you think that's okay?
Yeah, I'd rather not.
Not you. I mean, in general, the women. Because women want to vote. So how do we resolve this issue? Do they get drafted like men?
I mean, I think it's unlikely that women will ever have the right to vote taken away. So I guess moving forward, maybe
when I don't believe anything
you could do, but that's that's a whole nother conversation. But
wait,
no, I think if we're gonna vote, I think that we should have the same responsibility as the men and be enlisted in selective service.
Okay.
So
so you're saying women should also have to sign up for selective service when they turn 18, like men.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm saying if you're going to be equal, make it equal.
Okay.
Can we just make a time machine and then send her back to like 1352 and then force her to live life like that and then see what happens? You know? I wish we had a time machine where we can send conservatives back in time, you know? Like every single conservative these days would have been like drawn and quartered. Going to the type of world that they want to live in. They have to experience being burned at the stake and drawn and quartered over and over for 3 days straight, like Tsukiyomi was murdered. Fuck you. Here, go back and experience the world you want to live in. All right, buddy. I imagine it's very fun. I imagine you'd love it. It's just ridiculous, bro.
So,
the brain of a child.
Women should also have to sign up for selective service when they turn 18, like men.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just ban selective service.
Equal.
Okay.
And for me, I don't want to do that. No, thank you. Keep me out of that.
Okay. So I understand that's your preference, but I'm just trying to understand like the policy that in your red pill, we're doing the red pill. We're seeing the world as it is.
No, I wouldn't assign that belief to like red pill. That's not really like a red pill belief. That's just mine.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make a point about. So do you think having women in the army would weaken our military?
Yes.
So then probably don't draft.
She seemed like the type to think that because men are.
Yeah, but then take away the vote with it.
Men will like to like assault them.
Very fair,
so it's
what I'm saying.
You should just kick the women
you guys
out.
are weaker. You guys are going to weaken our military. So we don't want you in the military. But because you're not in the military, you don't get the right to vote. It's a catch-22. You know what I mean? So what do we do about that?
It's bigotry.
Well, I'll tell you what I think we should do.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, it goes back to, I just think that you have to have some skin in the game. And so it's like, if we're voting for a commander in chief, right, that's the person that decides if we go to war or we don't go to war. And so it's easy to, again, I think that if you're going to vote, you should have the same responsibility as the men, and women don't want to do that. It's either we're equal or we're not equal.
Okay, well, just to be fair,
if we're really equal, have the same responsibility. But again, it's equality when it benefits us.
Well, but your logic doesn't even make sense.
It just makes negative sense, on top of the fact of who actually is a net positive net payer, like net positive taxpayer. Okay, who actually is? Because if I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think anyone actually is. I don't think a single human being is an actual net taxpayer, because they try to judge that by, do you pay more into the government than you get? But I think honestly, when it comes to that, if you're going to say like net, like you give more than you take, well, do you use roads? Do you use like public amenities? Do you use like the infrastructure we built to make sure that you can live a happy and healthy life? I don't think that you pay in your entire life will pay as much as the maintenance and the water pipes that bring water to your house do, or like the roads that you drive on, or the electric a grid that was built to make sure that you can go online, or the electric infrastructure, or anything. Like, who in the world is actually genuinely a net genuinely like giving more than they take from society? Because you using a lot of these services are way more than cost way more money than you'll ever actually make in your entire life, and on top of that, pay into the government in your entire life. Billionaires? I don't even think them. So many billionaires are publicly, and their enterprises are publicly subsidized. And the infrastructure, and they lean on so much infrastructure that we've already built and funded. Hello, comers. Hello, Come Alley. Nice to see you. Many don't pay taxes. Yeah, and a lot of billionaires don't even, a lot of billionaires pay less in income taxes and just kind of taxes in general than a lot of middle-class people do. Most people in the country don't pay. Most people in the country get more money back from the government than they pay. So like, nobody votes. Elon Musk gets to vote, and that's it. A lot of companies pay like net zero in taxes. The Amish, maybe? The Amish definitely don't.
I mean, you're talking about, first of all, there hasn't been a draft in the United States in 50 years, right? So if there was a draft, maybe we could have this conversation, but it just seems kind of silly. In 50 years, there hasn't been a mandatory draft. It just hasn't happened. So why is it a big deal, I guess, about the selective service? Because there's not going to be another draft. You know what I mean? There's enough people in the army. I don't think that there's going to be a draft. It's just not going to happen. And with the way technology is going, we're going to have autonomous robot fighters before there's a draft. You know what I mean?
I don't know. Those robots have been killing themselves. I'm not sure if they want to work. Just like,
I just think it's, again, like, women want
robots have a higher suicide rate than people.
If you don't think that there's going to be a draft, then equally do what the men do. Men are fined $300,000.
They don't have the option. They don't even have the option.
You didn't give them the option.
Right. So give them the option.
Okay, let's give them the option.
But didn't you say that they shouldn't have the option? It has to be
mandatory.
I know, but you saying like women want the right to vote, but they don't want to enter in selective service, but it's not an option. So how do you know what all women want?
I don't know what all women want.
So then why are you saying things that are generalized all women?
I'm saying, no, okay. Because I'm looking at the policies that have been pushed. I'm saying the policies are not, like, where are the feminists fighting for equality in this situation?
They're fighting for the draft to not exist. They think less people should be forced to fight and die for their state, not more.
Like when
Same with divorce court. What have you done when it comes to like leveling out the equality when it comes to how men and women get custody over their kids? You genuinely believe in an ideology that would get men to get their kids taken away at a higher rate than what feminists are asking for. Because if women are just naturally born as physically better and honestly the only capable breed of human being that can actually take care and raise a child, why in the world would courts ever actually give custody over to a dad? Because he'll be worse at parenting, period. Why in the world would that happen? There would be such a high bar for the dad to get full or even most custody with kids in this case, because the women are just like naturally better caretakers. Your ideology believes in what we used to do. Feminists are the ones working to make sure that men actually have an equal chance of getting their kids. It just doesn't make any sense. What are you doing? What are you saying? Your brain is like a slushy. Your brain is a slushy on a hot summer day.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's not that relevant, but also the no women in the army is kind of a byproduct of patriarchy, because women are looked as that they'd weaken the military, as you pointed out. Is that possible that it's men driving that policy and not so much women?
I didn't say women drove that policy. I said they don't try to make it equal. It's only equal when it benefits us.
But you've never looked into it. You don't know.
Even if nobody's being actually drafted.
I mean, 50 years isn't, that long of. I mean, who's to say? You don't know, but
50
okay.
years isn't that long.
50 years. I mean, the last man draft was like during Vietnam, wasn't it?
Do you not think it should be equal?
I have a family member who was forced to go to Vietnam.
No, I think what you're saying is fair, but it's not making any sense. Like, okay, sure, let's put women into selective service. Fine, I'm fine with that. I think it's fine.
Okay.
I think everyone should sign up for it. And there's other ways that people can support the military other than being on the front line, right?
Yes, also, that's such a good point. Thank you for reminding me about this, Ethan. It's also incredibly true that everybody just thinks that when you get signed up for the military or something, you're just going to be holding a gun and shooting down like small Middle Eastern children. Most people in the military will never shoot somebody. Most people in the military will never actually be on like full deployment duty, rolling around a Humvee, moving, trying to not get blown up by IUDs. Like, that doesn't happen. Most people in the military are working in like an office, like shuffling paperwork. That's what most people in the military are doing. That's what most of the military work is. It's just bureaucracy and talking to people and sending emails. That's what most military work is. And more likely than not, that's what your average person is going to do if they get into the military. They're not going to like pick up a gun and start fighting. The vast majority of people in almost every single military were not people who are on the grounds just like shooting guns and running in and out of trenches. It just didn't happen like that. There's a lot of stuff that needs to get done that isn't that.
Right. So what other rights do women want? You know what I mean? That are contradictory.
Okay, women want the right to not be a mother, but men don't have the right to not be a father. So women can have a which I know at various states. I'm in the
wrong. It's not about not being a mother. It's about not being forced to give birth. It's not about, men don't have to, your average man doesn't have to choose not to give birth because he probably physically cannot give birth. You're just, me when I lie, dude. You're right, profoundly stupid. Remarkably stupid. It's not about not being a mother. It's about not being forced to give birth. Listen, if that's the case, then if that's the case, then transplant the womb from the woman into the guy and then have him give birth. There you go. Problem solved. Have him pump it out instead. Problem solved. You know what? They should do that in the future. That would go crazy. Can you imagine that? Like if like there's a married couple and one wants a divorce and the other one doesn't, then the court mandates that they have to scoop the UD out of one and then put it into the other one, and now they have to give birth. There you go. You wanted it so bad, then have it. Take it. There you go, buddy.
UK, so I forget. Sometimes the US is different by state, but like in the UK, abortion's free up to 6 months, but a man can't opt out of child support. So it's like, why does he have the right to not be a father, but women don't? Or why do women have the right to not be mothers, but men don't have the right to not be fathers?
It's about not giving birth. It's about not being forced to give birth. It's not about not being mothers.
Feminists actually do. They want the draft abolished So their point is, let's not sign up for the service. Let's abolish the draft altogether. So they are fighting for equality. They are against the draft. There should be no draft. So men and women shouldn't be drafted. That is also equality, isn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay.
So you
have you never looked up anything in your entire life?
The premise is wrong on that.
I don't. I mean, it's still not equal the way it is. But yeah, what they're saying.
No, it's not equal the way it is. Sure, and feminists agree. Feminists agree with you.
Oh, okay. I've never heard him talk about that. But
do you listen to a lot of feminist ideology? Do you read books? Do you listen to lectures? How do you listen to a lot of that stuff?
Kill her, Ethan.
So I talk to feminists all the time.
Right. I haven't seen you talk to an actual scholar once. You just talk to kind of random women. Right. I mean, that's fair to say. Right. So when you say you talk to feminists, you just mean like random women off the street, not like a scholar.
That's say they're feminists.
Yeah, but but feminism
doesn't count.
It's like a
okay, and you would call yourself a capitalist, even though I don't think you own a business. Most people, if you ask them, are they capitalists? They'll be like, yeah, I'm a capitalist. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're a pawn to your boss. That's what you are. You're not a capitalist. You're just somebody working a 9 to 5. What are you saying? It doesn't even make any sense. Oh my gosh, I bombarded myself. You're not capitalist at all. Fuck you saying, you insane weirdo.
It doesn't count.
Well, you said you know what feminists believe because you talk to a lot of feminists, but I'm talking about like.
No, I said I've never heard them bring it up. So.
Do you have any interest in talking to feminist scholars who are more aware with like kind of what feminism?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
I think that would be good.
Send them to the UK.
But they're in the UK.
No, I actually tried
wouldn't
for
trust
some, but then they'll be like, "You're a hateful
actually.
woman." Da 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 da. There's one that's I can't even remember. Some blonde chick out here. Can't remember her name, but yeah, she didn't want to come on.
Blonde women, am I right,
Blonde.
chat?
No, I'm just saying that was her. That's what she looked like. I don't know her name. I forget.
But like, I mean, my point is like when you just bring a random girl and they say, "Yeah, I'm a feminist," it's kind of like the Steven Crowder changed my mind versus like actually talking to someone who's involved in like the scholastics, the academia of what feminism means historically in modern day and
my misogyny academia.
So the level of discourse you would have is obviously different. So feminists
I think
are
she's
in favor
high.
of equality though. So I don't know if that's interesting you or not. You don't believe me?
I'll take your word.
You can trust me. I'm a man.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, so moving on. We're talking about feminism. So what other? So you're talking about divorce court. Sorry, I know you were making a point. So let's go back to that. You were saying that women can decide to terminate a pregnancy, therefore they can choose to be a mom, but men cannot decide that, and they don't get the choice to be the dad.
To not be a dad.
Right. So do you think that do you not think that the idea that the baby, obviously the reason for that, right, which we both know, is that because the baby's inside the woman's body?
I don't think that matters. Yeah.
What?
So
I mean, personally,
it's inside of them. What do you mean it doesn't matter? How can you sit here and say you own what's inside of somebody else? Unless they ate it. Outside of that, you can't be like, I own that thing inside of you. That little goo ball. That goo ball's got my name on it. No, it doesn't. What are you saying?
I'm pro-life, so I don't believe in abortion at all. But again, it's the double standard.
You're
it's like
pro-cringe.
Women have a choice, but men do not have a choice.
Sure. No, I see that there is a sense to that, which is unfair. Although there are a lot of single moms, as you pointed out.
Yeah, that are on.
Also, guys do have the option to not be dads. They just walk out on their family and then just don't come back. This happens so often. It's so unlikely a lot of the time that people are actually, and it's so unlikely a lot of the time that the mom is actually going to press charges. This happens a lot that absent fathers just like don't pay child support. They just simply don't. Like they're court mandated to, they just don't. They just like walk away and you never hear from them again. They never call, they just disappear. And so yeah, they actually do. And actually they've been doing that a lot more. They've been doing that for a lot more and a lot longer than women do when it comes to divorce. Okay? And then asking for child support. That has happened way more than these like boogeyman scenarios that she's invented in her head about women doing this, that, and the third to men. There's a lot of people. There's so many people who have divorced parents. Just ask them. About like when it comes to their dad. Like how involved was he? You'll hear so many people be like, my dad just like got up and left and didn't do anything and just like left our family to fend for ourselves. Didn't pay for hecking child support. Didn't do anything. Just left.
Let's talk about abortion then, since you're against abortion. I'm assuming your stance is abortion should be off the table in any situation.
Yes.
So if a dad rapes his daughter, then she needs to give birth to that baby.
You know, that's less than 1% of cases. Why do you guys always
No.
I know,
but that's
why do you guys
important,
always
Pearl.
bring
Why
up
do you
those,
always
like,
bring up
fringe
something that
cases?
You're gonna
happens?
have a
It
conversation
makes me
about
upset when I have to
difficult
answer
things.
the
Let's talk about
question.
difficult things. This
But
is
I'm
why the
saying,
laws
let's
exist.
talk
The
about-
laws
but I'm saying,
exist to
let's talk
protect
about
that
the
little
most-
girl.
I'm saying let's talk about the most common thing.
That's
first,
easy.
and then
That's
we can-
easy.
But I'm saying
That's
so
not
we
what's
can- we
difficult
can-
about this.
But I'm saying we can get to the difficult things later. But it's like, why do you guys bring
Because
up the
that's
most
the interesting part. I'm
fringe
telling you, the
case?
law
You
is
don't want
there.
to. You don't wait. What are you talking about? You already talked about abortion. So why are you like, oh, just bring it up later? You don't want him to bring it up at all. Be honest. You just don't like answering hard questions. This is why stupid people like you don't make policy or shouldn't.
To protect on those
Right,
fringe
but
cases.
I'm saying,
I'm telling you why.
Why don't we start with the majority of
Didn't we
abortion?
just do that?
You think, okay.
What do you want to say? You don't agree with abortion. So, like, if a men and women have sex and they're both being irresponsible, then sure, I understand. You say abortion's bad because we don't want to murder babies. That's not controversial. That's easy to understand. The point of
Right.
these laws is to protect the little girl who's raped by her dad. These are the challenging issues. So this is why I ask you about it, because this is the byproduct of your position of no abortions are allowed under any circumstance. So if you're willing to take that position, you can't just dismiss this because you are saying that this girl who's raped by her dad should have the baby.
I just think we
You need to
spend a
answer
lot
that.
of time. I just think I will hold on.
We spend a lot of time talking about things that blow
fringe
up my
cases that are
argument.
less than like 0.5%
Those are the
of
important
abortions.
cases. That's
And
why
I don't think those are as important as the 99.5% of cases.
I
And so
think they are.
sometimes I think it's a bit disingenuous to say, here's this extreme fringe case that happened. And I don't think you don't make a law for the exception.
Yes, you do.
Yes. I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm gonna lose it. Yes, you do. Actually, and here's a great example about it. If you don't get it, okay? Here's a great example. She talked about this earlier, okay? How she talked about preponderance of the evidence versus, without a shadow of a doubt, scrutiny for certain cases brought into court. All right, without a shadow of a doubt is a type of scrutiny that's used for fringe cases. Okay, because most of the time, if you go to court, you're going to jail and you're going to be, air quote, proven guilty. You're going to be found guilty. Actually, I looked into this a little bit when I watched this originally, and I thought it was super interesting. So basically, like, listen to this, okay? 90% of people who go who get called up for a crime, 90% take a plead guilty and then take some sort of a plea deal or something. 90%. Another 8% go to trial and get found guilty. So for the people who aren't great at math, listen to this. Only 2% of people who get tried for a crime that they committed, for a crime that they're accused of committing, go to court and win. 2%. And honestly, actually maybe less than 2% in all actuality. So why in the world are you going to sit here and like hype up without a shadow of a doubt when it's actually for the minority of people who go to court but are actually innocent? And you think that that's actually based in POG, but this isn't. It just doesn't make any sense.
You don't make laws. The general law is not for the exception; it's for the rule. Like, why
That's
would
not
you
an
go
exception. Why is that an exception? Or, I mean, exceptions are important to the law.
Okay,
that's the whole point.
Wait, do you not think it's an exception? Like a 13-year-old girl getting raped by her? I don't know what you can say on YouTube.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want. I don't think raped is gonna.
Oh, we stay away.
I think raped is gonna save you here, buddy.
Do you not think that's an exception?
And by exception, but she was raped. What do you mean by exception?
Right. Like, do you think it's common?
No, of course it's not common.
Okay, that's my point. Like, we waste.
Do you think that it's less
so much
important?
time.
Do you think it's less important because it's not as common?
I think it's more important to talk about the 99.5%.
So yes, she does think it's less
important. That's an easy conversation. It's not like I get your position there.
Yeah.
But listen, you can write. Pearl, you can write exceptions into laws. That's why they exist. Because why should that girl who's raped by her dad forced to give birth to that baby because you didn't want to have a conversation about her?
Devour her, Ethan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would still make it illegal, to be honest. Because again, I think you either think it's a life or you don't. So if you think it's a child, you're never gonna encourage killing a child under any exceptions. So
right. Right. And that's I guess where the big difference comes between abortion, people who are for and against abortion, is that we disagree on where life begins, essentially.
Right.
But ultimately, what quality of life do you expect this child to have from like a 13-year-old girl who's raped by her dad?
Low.
Is a lower quality life less valuable? Like that's almost saying if you are in a bad situation, your life is less valuable than someone who isn't. I mean, that's kind of a tricky argument.
Not less valuable, but I mean, if we're
I feel like the person in it would feel like it's less worth living. And also the person who's carrying the baby, I think should be able to make that decision for them, since they can't make decisions themselves at the moment. And it won't for a very, very long time. Here's the thing, you know, a lot of people try to say that like abortion isn't taking responsibility. It's like the ultimate form of taking responsibility for what you do. If you can't bring a kid into the world for whatever reason, then I don't think you should. You should take the responsibility and then terminate that pregnancy. It is a real step. It's expensive and possibly dangerous, and also outside of the moral question, it's also very it hurts a lot. You know, but I'm not going to sit here and try to force that decision on somebody else when it's their family and their body and they're the ones who make that decision. You know, it's just like if you have a family member or something, or you're the guardian of somebody who's like comatose in like a hospital or something, you have the decision. The doctors are going to give you the decision to like pull the plug. And you can do that, and so their life is in your hands. It's possible that they could wake up, but their life is in your hands, and you can end it if you so choose, and if you think that that's what they would have wanted, or if you think that's what's best for them. That's why they hopefully put you in charge to do that, to make that decision for them when they can't. And so I think there's an implicit contract that person should be able to make that decision for that for that potential life, because they're there. And they're that person's and they have the responsibility over what happens next. And I think that is a real decision that should be taken seriously.
One shouldn't be in society. I would say that's less valuable.
Well, it's more about you were talking about fairness. You were interested in the idea of fairness, right? Instead of the welfare of society. So let's talk about fairness. You know what I mean? Is it fair to the little girl that she was forcibly impregnated by her dad?
Right, but is it fair? Is it fair to the child?
Wait.
Okay.
Where's the little? Where's the 13-year-old's fairness? What? So that person has to wait. So fairness is when there's 3 lives involved, but two of them had their, but only 2 of them had moral consideration, and the third one is forced to take double pain. Okay,
like that's like we could talk.
That's
about
fairness, all right.
Is a child, by the way. She's 13. She is a child.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think that's horrible, and I think there should be the death penalty for rapists. But yeah, I'm sorry, like I don't believe in abortion. And again, to me, I think that's a child, and I just can't advocate for the murder of a kid under any
that's fair. I understand where you're coming from. What about situations where like 12% of abortions are related to health crises, where there's a chance the woman might die or the baby might die or both? Your thoughts on that?
I don't know enough about those situations to really have an opinion on it.
She does not care.
I would probably guess that they would likely both die in those situations. So
sometimes it's just
maybe that's an exception, but I don't know enough about that stuff.
Right. Well, we can use our imagination.
You know, don't have
just for the hypothetical conversation where
never thought about anything.
I'm telling you, there are 12% of abortions are related to health crises. So if it's the baby lives but the mom dies, what do you think should happen in that situation?
I don't know.
Okay.
Don't know. Yeah, can't answer a single hard question to save her life.
Because you think
just don't answer any hard questions and then just feel very strongly about everything. Okay.
So of course I'm testing that.
Yeah, I could maybe see an exception for the life of the mother, but I've heard, like, and I don't want to quote this because, again, it's just something I've heard. I've heard it's not as
I
common
watched a YouTube
as
video about
people
it.
lead you to believe, and like sometimes those stats are manipulated. But I don't.
Yeah, but
I
the
don't
commonness doesn't really matter. It's more about the. I think the exceptions are interesting. I disagree. I think
Maybe
when
if
you
they
say,
would both
why
die.
are we focusing on the exceptions? I think that's a way for you to try to dismiss difficult questions.
Yeah, I just think it's like silly when 99.5% of abortions are not the exception. So
you don't, but that doesn't
just
make sense. I
pretend
mean, why don't you care
difficult
about
situations just don't exist.
the situation of everybody else?
W.
Just because it's not because it's the exception.
I just think you should spend more time debating the most common thing. So that's, my opinion.
Okay. Very good. So we talked about feminism. The problem with feminism is that women want equality, but they don't really want equality. They need to sign up for the military, which feminists want to abolish the draft. And then we're talking about reproductive rights, where the women get all the choice and the men don't. Is there any other ones?
I'm sorry. I was reading something. What'd you say?
Is there any other examples
zooted.
of the reproductive rights and voting / draft that shows that feminism was a mistake or that feminists are disingenuous or something like that?
I would just say, like, there's just a lack. The biggest one I would say
watched
is
a YouTube video about it once.
90% women get custody 80 to 90% of the time. I think 90% of alimony payments are awarded to women.
What does that have to do with women's suffrage, though? You said you criticized the whole thing going all the way back to its inception.
I thought you asked other double standards. No.
Well, I asked you what's your problem with feminism in general.
Okay, two things. Okay, for one, a lot of the times in these situations, men actually don't ask for custody of their kids like that. A lot of the times, men do actually just want to get away from the family completely and the kids as well, and they don't ask to have more custody, and so they just don't get more custody. There's two parents and one doesn't want it, the other one gets it. Okay, that's how it works. So I'm not sure what it would be like if that stat was changed from whatever it is to complete absolute zero, but you can't just throw out that stat when it's very clearly not exactly what's going on. On top of that as well, you want women to work like less hours or not at all or something. So of course they would be getting alimony payment because they don't make anywhere near the man does. It makes complete sense why they would get the alimony payment there, because they're poor and were probably got rid of their job to take care of their family.
Move on though. I have a good question for you. I hear you talk a lot about the pay gap.
Right.
The pay gap is a myth. What do you mean by that?
Oh, because women don't do the dangerous jobs in society. So, like, I just think the pay gap, the majority of the time, is women making an excuse. Yeah, just excuses. Poor me. Do
you realize you're arguing from emotion right now?
Are you gonna let me finish?
Oh, I just wanted to point that out, but yeah, go ahead.
All right. You asked what I think. You asked what I think.
Well, the pay gap is more concrete than, I asked what.
When you take into account the number, women work less hours.
Right.
You don't do the most would you say that's true? Women work less hours?
Yeah, statistically that's true.
Would you say it's true that we don't do the most dangerous jobs in society?
Yeah, statistically that's true.
Would you agree that the majority, if you look at female millionaires, the richest women came from divorce?
Okay.
True.
Wait.
Okay. Would you agree that the majority, if you look at female millionaires, the richest women came from divorce?
What do you mean the richest women came from divorce? The richest women are divorced. Is she trying to say that the richest women didn't work for what they had? They just stole it from their husbands. I know she's not. I know she bet not be talking about like Jeff Bezos's ex-wife.
True or not true?
Yeah, that's true.
I know she better not be talking about Jeff Bezos's ex-wife, because if she brings her up, then Ethan could like obliterate her ass here, because actually that woman was integral. That woman was integral to Amazon's founding and worked on it a lot, as much if not more than Jeff himself. So yeah, she was entitled to a lot when the marriage fell apart, because she made a lot. Amazon wouldn't be the same without her, which is where Jeff got most of his money from. So yeah, of course, she would get a lot of money there because they shared the money originally, and now they have to split it. A lot of the times, these women actually are important parts of these businesses and are integral to these guys having the wealth that they do have. So yeah, like yeah, they get a lot of money from it, mostly because they did a lot of the work.
I guess I think so.
Okay, so what are we complaining about?
What does that have to do with the pay gap? Any of that?
Because all of those you don't think working less hours contributes to getting paid less?
Yeah, but you know the pay gap. Excuse me, sorry, I've got phlegm in my throat. So what you're doing is you're misrepresenting what the pay gap is. You understand that? The pay gap, when it's analyzed by economists, economists, and the U.S. Department of Labor and such organizations, they do controlled analysis where they eliminate all these factors. For example, ones you listed of women tending to work in lower paid fields. They eliminate women working less. They eliminate for when women take maternity leave, all this kind of stuff. And even when you do a controlled analysis where you eliminate that, there's still a big pay gap.
That's not true.
Okay.
That is true.
Okay.
It's like, wasn't it like 3%? Last time I checked, it was 3%.
Oh, so
anybody here would be happy taking a 3% pay cut?
3%.
So, but it's not a myth if there's 3%.
Yeah, but the number they used to push was like 77 cents to the dollar.
But that's what it is without it's about 20%
Correct.
without
Correct.
the
Correct.
control. Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, I mean, when women, like, I just think if we wanted to be equal, then do the same jobs men do.
But there is a bias. But that's
Okay. Yeah. Okay, two things on this. One, women actually are paid less for the same job. I know he's going to pull that up. But also on top of that, women actually, like, why do women take these jobs? I think honestly a lot of the time they're conditioned to not go for those other types of jobs because they've been told that those are like jobs that men do. And it's harder to get in those types of jobs because of the culture that's already there and how they're treated a lot of the time. But she wouldn't care about any of that stuff at all. She would just like pretend that it's not a real issue, which is completely ridiculous as well. Women do more housework as well. Yeah. Same hours. The gap is still there. Yeah. Head empty, no thoughts. Also, on top of that, women actually are passed up for jobs at a higher rate than men do with the same qualifications, just because they're women as well. That's something that has also happened. A lot of people talk about it when it comes to like, black people, but it also happens to women as well, which is wild. Okay, and that's also a big reason for why a lot of people bring up the stat that white women benefit the most when it comes to affirmative action, because when those laws are put into place, this is what happens as well. Those women start to be able to work in those jobs that they would have been passed up for originally. That's also true, and I don't believe that she has the brain power to be able to talk about that issue.
Interesting, because you admit there is a pay gap, 3%. I mean, I wouldn't want to work for 3% less.
Yeah, I mean, if you think that's because of gender, but it's also because women are more agreeable. It's like 70.
That's included. That's part of the control.
Okay. I mean, I don't think 3% you can really say that's just because of gender.
Well, I did some research on this. The Department of Labor published an in-depth report. This is under Trump's administration in 2019. This is from the U.S. Department of Labor. I can link you the study if you want. It's called Gender-Based Pay Disparity Study. Mm-hmm. The research team found that the raw gender wage gap was 17.4%, and the median was 20%. The raw wage gap increased actually between 50th and 75th percentile and remains the greatest at the highest percentile. In addition, the research team found that the importance of human capital varied across wage distributions and part-time work, as well as female-oriented occupations. The updated result explained about 20 to 70% of the raw wage gap over the wage distribution, but it left an adjusted wage gap of 10 to 15%. That was in 2019.
The
U.S. Department
15% still.
Yeah, sheesh. I mean, I'd have to look at that, but the stuff I've seen, it's very small.
The YouTube videos I've watched didn't say that.
What have you seen?
Off the top of my head, I can't remember, but I can send it to you.
Sure. Yeah. But I just gave you a pretty concrete. I mean, the U.S. Department of Labor. Do you consider that a credible source?
Yeah. I mean, if that's true, it's just a lot of times like there are like parts of the study that they don't talk about. So, like even on this is what I was looking at earlier. Like they're saying the stat you gave earlier, 12% of abortions are not done on the surgery table of the emergency room. These cases are overwhelmingly doctors advising abortions ahead of time in case there are risks for the mothers in pregnancy. Also, that 12% number they gave is highly inflated.
Yeah, you should probably get one then.
And so it's like, it's just a lot of times there's more to it than just like a number you're giving me. But
yeah, what does that have to do with the pay gap? I'm confused by that.
No, the point is that like a number you gave me earlier, like there was more to it.
Which number? Which one? I'm sorry. Go ahead. We'll unpack that.
The 12% of abortions are not done on the surgery table of the emergency room. These cases are overwhelmingly doctors advising abortions ahead of time in case there.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine if that's how we actually decide how medicine should be regulated? Until you're 5 seconds from dying, you are not eligible to have health care that would save you from dying. You have to be resuscitated. They have to restart your heart 4 times for them to start giving you medical treatment. And after the 4th time, then they have to flip a coin. And if it lands on heads, then they can give you medical treatment. It's just brain of a child, brain of an absolute child, a baby. Of course, doctors are going to tell you to do it if they see that in the future there's a high likelihood that you'll need to do it. It's literally looking out for the life. I don't know why in the world you would try to take that from someone unless you just enjoy women dying.
There are risks for the mother in pregnancy.
That sounds reasonable to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a doctor is qualified to say this baby is going to put your life at risk. I would trust the doctor to say that, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Over
but
some random politician.
they're saying that number's inflated.
Who's saying they didn't say that? That what you read did not say it's inflated.
No, I said also that 12% number they're giving you is highly inflated.
Based on what? Because what you just read to me doesn't disprove what I said at all. It actually makes perfect sense.
No, but they're saying it's inflated. I don't know.
They did not say that.
What are you saying?
Yeah, they didn't say that.
Who's they?
So here,
who's they?
It's just someone I do research with. So
so just someone.
Okay.
Just some guy.
That's good. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Don't
wait. Is she getting pointers from somebody? When somebody's watching this right now, and they're quickly, quick. Somebody they're typing on the keyboard trying to help her out because she's getting absolutely bodied. She has to have like a full command and control center to help her come up with points because she can't do it herself. Is that what happens? She's looking down, reading Discord messages to try to get dunks in on Ethan to help out with this because she can't do it herself. Holy, that's crazy. That is so funny. Some guy said it. She doesn't want to say his name. It's my inside man. It's fantastic.
Here's an interesting analysis. I thought maybe you'd be interested.
Mm-hmm.
Women don't do the dangerous jobs. Women are right? Overrepresented in healthcare. You know that probably, right?
Yeah, it's the #1 employer is nursing.
Then hopefully you can explain to me why. When you look at the pay of women versus men doctors, look, you can see this graph. There's a huge disparity of the average wage of male doctors versus female doctors. Mm-hmm. You can see here, and even this is from 2022, last year. This is again from the physician compensation report. Male doctors make on average $285,000 per year. Female doctors make on average $228,000 per year.
Okay, let's do something really quick. Okay, let's do something. Expando. Let's do a little math. Okay, let's do a little math really quick so we can understand. This point a little better. Get the heck up out my face. Here we go. Expando. Now let's see. Women make 228,000. Men make 225,000. What do you think is a good working amount of years for a primary care doctor? Huh? What? Yeah, 285 versus 228. How many years? Would you say 35? 35 years, 30 years? I would say 30 years. 40? You want to do 40 years? 30? I'll say, let's do 30. So let's do 285,000. Wait, here. Actually, let's do the women's first. Let's do 228,000. All right. Times 30 years. That's $6,840,000 that they would make in their lifetime, in their career. And then men, it would be 285,000 times 30. And it'd be 8,550,000. And if we just subtract these numbers, that means women for the same job misogyny cost them $2 million, $1,710,000. So almost $2 million in their entire lifetime. So my question would be, do you really think that's okay? It's like on the surface, you'd be like, oh, it's like a couple percent. A couple percent adds up. Anybody who's ever taken a class that knows anything about like an economics class or done anything when it comes to finance, you would understand that something getting upped or dropped by 3%, even though it doesn't sound like that much, over time can snowball into something completely unmanageable. So a little bit of percent, I'm not sure exactly what percent this is, but a little bit of a percent goes a long way. So they're in their lifetime, they're missing out on $2 million. Would anybody be okay with having $2 million sucked from their bank account right now? Because personally, I wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the woman's field, and yet they're still making significantly less than their male counterparts.
Okay, does it say why?
No, this is just raw data. This is just raw data.
Okay. I mean, you'd have to look at why. So
we could justify this by saying
I feel like women work less hours.
No, but they work less hours.
That's what I'm asking.
This is controlled. They're working the same hours. They have the same qualifications.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, well then maybe they are in that field. I don't know.
Okay, so the wage gap is more complicated, perhaps, than saying it's a myth.
It's possible.
Okay, that's nice to hear.
Okay.
So I would recommend.
Thank you, Pearl. Very interesting.
And do these shows and stuff, because when you talk about the wage gap, you're very adamant about it. Like, oh, this is a myth, and this is why, and you extract a lot of meaning from it. So I would recommend potentially approaching that topic with a little more nuance in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're saying, well, yeah, maybe I'm wrong about this. But here's an excerpt so we can kind of see how you talk about these issues. Here it is.
I think in 2022, any girl that complains, I'm not talking about race.
Holy crap. Dude, what happens when she goes back to her manosphere, guys? Are they gonna are they gonna chew her out? She's gonna be the laughing stock, dude. They're gonna be like, we can't have this dumb woman making us look stupid woman, you make me look bad. Oh, they're gonna tell her never go on again. Oh, they're gonna chew her out, dude. This isn't ethical, Ethan. How could you do this to her? Come on, Ethan. She's gonna lose all her friends.
People always bring it. I'm talking about female to male. I think in 2022, if you're complaining about the pay gap as a woman, you're probably just lazy. I have never had a problem getting the same pay as a guy. One issue is that women.
No. So you kind of agree that women who complain about pay are just lazy?
Yeah, the majority of the women complaining about this stuff.
Yeah, what do you mean majority? What do you mean majority of women?
Oh my gosh.
How do you know
the majority of the women complaining about this
Based
stuff?
Based on what? Majority
are just
of women?
Whiners. Just what I see. Whiners. Big whiners.
I saw a YouTube video about
women,
it once.
It's like, go.
You're arguing from emotion again.
All right. Okay. Is that what you're going to say every time you don't agree with me?
Oh, no. You literally are just saying stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not that I disagree. I'm just saying if we want to have a conversation about this stuff, it'd be better if we don't argue from emotion and say, I feel that all women are complainers. Because that's not a productive point. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I still think that most women that complain about the pay gap are just whiners. They're big whiners. And I have never had trouble getting a job. I've never had trouble getting the same pay as a guy.
I think that's a lie.
And I think that in 2023, it's just a bunch of excuses.
So what's your experience in the work? You use your own experience as an example.
What's your work experience?
Why women pay gap doesn't exist?
Yeah, I'm not blind.
Well, hold on. What's your experience in the workforce?
I always had a job from like after high school in the summers. And I worked in corporate America, and then I did.
How long did you work in corporate America?
A couple of years.
Couple of years.
I'm only 26.
Right, you're only 26, and therefore I wouldn't put you in and you have maybe 1 or 2 years working in corporate America. Do you think that your experience is ample to say I've seen that women get paid equally to men? That seems disingenuous based on 1 year or 2 years, and you're only 26 years old.
Yeah, that's just my opinion.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
Interesting.
Okay, but I think we've established a little bit, at least. You've conceded a tiny bit to me that the wage gap is perhaps more complicated than yes or no.
if what you're showing me is real, you did this to someone else, but then there's like something else to it. But if,
No.
if
Oh,
what you're
that
showing me is
other like
true-
Sebastian
Yeah,
guy.
it's all true. This is all sourced.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, you could easily look this up yourself.
Can I see the parameters for the control? I'm just curious.
Sure, we can do that. Yeah.
Her
you can
ass
pull up the
cannot
Department of Labor
read
one.
a study
The
methodology.
doctor one, could I see?
By the way, we've long since moved past, but I did find that study in the Rolotoni video, the Swedish study from several years ago about Swedish prison system. I'm not sure. We can loop back to that.
Wait, what was it? I'm unfamiliar.
Here, I have a bunch of tabs open. Where did it go? In the meantime, here I'll send this in the Zoom chat if you want to take a look.
Oh, can you open it? Because I don't have the Zoom on my computer.
Oh,
Dan sent a link to you. That I guess that's the parameters one.
That's the Department of Labor's 2019 study. There's a couple more. I guess we didn't. Really
I'm curious. What do you think it is? The wage gap?
Well, it's complicated, right? I don't think it's as simple as saying it's a myth and women who complain are lazy. That doesn't seem like a productive point to start that conversation. It is complicated.
What is your solution? Like, if you seem to think that the wage gap is real, right? And that do you think women are discriminated against?
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
Because what barriers do women have today?
I talked about this already. But
I just genuinely don't understand
barriers, right?
you.
It's not about barriers. It's about norms. It's about like patriarchy. It's about the way that we perceive the value of people. It's not about barriers. There's no laws that say women can't do this and that, obviously.
Okay, so there's no barriers right now?
No, not that I could think of.
Okay.
Pay transparency.
Okay.
One moment. I'm trying to find something because I actually realized that I wasn't that good with this point that I think a lot of people need to understand, because we understand this point when it comes to minorities, and we have a lot more data on that when it comes to minorities, but not when it comes to women. And I feel like when people ask this question, we don't always have the right answers to this. Like the name thing, that's something that I had to figure out recently, and it is real, and that happened. But there's other stuff as well. It was actually a really good paper. I forgot where I put it. It was actually really good. There's some other stuff on there as well. They're passed up for promotions more. They're seen as less capable. They're seen as less smart as well than men in the workforce. That's also something that happens. There was a study done that rated that looked at people, okay, and they gave people the same exact resumes, and one had a woman's name on it and one had a man's name on it. And then they had people who hire people for jobs, hiring managers, review each one, and it was a controlled study, and they had them ask, who do you think is more capable at doing this job? And the men came out as better all the time when they had the same exact qualifications and even the same exact resumes. Let me bring this one back. I forgot where I put that. It was such a good study too. It was such a good paper too. It was so good. Ugh, how cringe. Yeah, I'm gonna have to find that again. Maybe sometime. Maybe we can do that on my day off tomorrow. I can re-find that and then go through with it. And then go through it again. Oh, sexual harassment. You don't talk about that one too much. That one's also a big thing. Women are more likely to get sexually harassed. I don't think Pearly would say that like sexual harassment is something that doesn't happen, or maybe she's dumb enough to actually say that. Okay, I'll pull it up for you all in time.
So I guess again we're kind of hitting a wall on this topic. But what I would say is this: is that I don't claim to have a solution. I'm rebutting your claim that the pay gap is a myth. Because it's not a myth, it exists. I don't know how to fix it. I'm just saying it's not a myth. That's an oversimplification, and it's dishonest.
Yeah, I just don't. I think most of the pay gap you can attribute, and you even agreed to this, the 77 cents to 3%, like is very different. I think the majority of the pay gap 3%. You can.
Oh, you mean the uncontrolled?
Yeah.
It's more than 3%, but I agree that it's lower. Yeah, it's a lot lower.
And even with that, like, I just would guess there's more to it because I just don't see
Is there
men
anything
have.
I'm just
else you
gonna
wanna
guess
Well,
that you're wrong.
I don't think that men have this evil. I think it's silly. It's silly to think
just gonna go
that
for
men
a
have this
guess.
evil coalition where they just unconsciously discriminate against women.
I agree.
And
That's not what's
yeah.
happening.
Coalition.
That's the oversimplification part. Speaking of coalitions, what do you think about the Jews? I'm just kidding.
I don't have any.
I'm
No
just kidding.
opinion.
I'm just kidding.
Keep me honest.
Listen, I'm not sure if Ethan is blue pilled, but he surely is Jew pilled. Hey,
Kidding.
hey,
That's not a
what's
serious
up,
point.
buddy?
Let's talk about some of
Hey,
your
how was
really
your trip to
interesting
Israel,
ideas
bro?
on this one here. You say men want younger women. This is something I've heard you say quite a few times here. I'll play this clip to set it up.
The person that will get me at 40 years old, at 50 years old, is getting a different version than he had when I was 18, 20 years old.
But it's a less valuable version.
Holy shit, women, the British people speak like crazy. 20 years old. That's like, she's doing the accent we do to make fun of British people, but she actually just speaks like that. That's crazy.
Set it up.
The person that will get me at 40 years old, at 50 years old, is getting a different version than he had when I was 18, 20 years old.
But it's a less valuable version to men.
No, that's not the right man for me because
No,
he
it's
will
not.
see
It's
the
not.
value.
It's not the right man for you. It's how men men can't help what they're attracted to. No, it is all men. They can't. If you survey men between the ages of 20 and 80, they're all the most attracted to 22-year-olds. I peaked 3 years ago, and you guys did too. Whether at 20, 22, 23, and this is men between the age of 20 and 80. So what men value is purity, youth, and fertility. And so, what would you be able to offer to a guy?
So that's something I've heard you say. Obviously, you strongly believe that, right? That women who are past the age of 22, their value goes down, and all men just want.
She never peaked. That's the problem.
So I guess what's the message behind this? Who are you speaking to, and what is it that?
I mean, it's just true. Men do want younger women.
Well, right. I want to ask you this before we get into that. What is your message? Who are you speaking to, and what is it you're hoping that they take from this?
I mean, I just believe in speaking about things that are true. And I think a lot of times as women, we're told that we can just wait forever, get married at 35 and have a bunch of kids. And that's just not true.
Who says that?
Me
when I lie?
Pushed by the media and culture today. So
the media is telling women to get married at 35.
I mean, what have you ever seen? Like, what's a homemaker that's on TV?
You mean like in a sitcom?
The Real Housewives TV show series. You know that literal series named after being a housewife? I mean, there's that one. In like every TV show, it's like the heteronormative couple of like everybody's parents is the same, like straight mom, straight dad. But dad goes to work and reads the newspaper. Mom makes food at the home. Like this happens everywhere, but okay. Me when I'm dumb.
Or you mean like in a
no, but I'm saying like we don't have them in the media and the culture.
Oh,
like
yes,
family
we do.
really isn't. It's really family really isn't pushed. And so I'm not saying it to dog on women, but I just think a lot of times like we're lied to. I mean, we have men are called ageist if they don't want younger women. You know, men are constantly shamed when they have a standard.
What's the standard?
It's not. I mean, that's like a conversation from a 3-hour episode. I don't remember the.
I've heard you bring it up a lot. I know that.
Yeah, because it's true, and a lot of times it's women.
You're speaking to women. You're saying past 22, your value is going down, and
yes,
and your message,
your value on the sexual marketplace. So your value, like that doesn't mean like
anybody else trying to market their sex.
Clarify that, but yeah.
And so your message to them is nothing. You're just saying that because it's true. I mean, why not just say the sun is hot?
I mean, don't wait till 35 to get married. Get married as young as you can.
Right, get married as young as you can.
Yeah.
Now you seem
do
to
not
offer
get
a lot
married
of
as soon as you
advice
can.
to-
You have a higher divorce. You have a higher divorce rate the younger you get married. Don't do that. Wait a little longer.
Who you're mostly giving advice to women? Would you say?
I wouldn't really. Okay. I wouldn't really.
Excuse me.
I guess sure.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think I've heard you say that even. And then so men.
Like I wouldn't say I'm like an advice channel, like do this. I mean, it's more talking about the state of relationships today is a better way that I would put it.
So as men
Okay.
get older, not like super old, but their value goes up. And as a man's value on the sexual marketplace goes up, they're looking for younger virgins, right? That's important. And so any woman who's not...
Well, historically, virginity has always been a prerequisite for marriage. Like 100 years ago, 85% of women didn't admit to premarital sex. So
didn't admit to premarital sex. Okay. Yeah, listen, they were definitely not having sex before marriage. Look at this study where when it was incredibly highly stigmatized for women to have sex before marriage. Look at all the women who said that they didn't. I mean, come on. Like, you know, think about it sometime. I mean, think about it. They wouldn't lie about that. Why would they? I'm very smart. But she really do be having the baby brain. She really do be. I don't know. Do you think that she's you think that she really doesn't like abortion because babies have because fetuses have undeveloped brains just like her? You think that's what's going on? She's like, that's my people right there. The biohazard bin outside of Planned Parenthood is her Wakanda. I'm sorry. she walks past the biohazard bin and outside of Planned Parenthood goes, okay. Uhuru means freedom in Swahili.
Now that women are not virgins anymore.
Do you know what an appeal to a tradition is? What we did 100 years ago doesn't predict anything.
Well, I'm saying the outcomes are better for women. Like the outcomes are obviously better. We have more women on antidepressants than ever before, and it's tough because there are studies both ways when it comes to female happiness. But most of the ones that I've seen indicate that women are unhappy over a certain age without children. That most women wanted to have kids at some point in their life, and I just think. And, you can see what happens in front of you. Like, you're not blind. Women are happier with a family.
Again, you're doing the I'm not blind. I see this, which is like, again, kind of an emotional argument. Antidepressants didn't exist 100 years ago. You just want to call me
emotional today. That's just your go-to today.
Well,
I mean, then stop. I don't know. It's just like, I was a little happier, aka math. I think... In my opinion, from what I've seen when it comes to this, they add a lot of older women in there from times when being a mom was pushed more, and on top of that, there are a lot of women today who do want jobs and who do kind of like that more traditional lifestyle. The problem is they're not allowed to due to society, due to the society not working with things like one income for the whole house. Or they don't have the type of time or money to do a lot of those types of things. So, and it's a lot harder to be able to get that type of lifestyle, even close to that type of lifestyle, down. And we're more socially ostracized as well. So I think people like the choice to be able to make the choices for their lives. And in our society, we just don't. We did it as by not allowing women to really work and forcing them into motherhood, and now we do it by forcing them into work and forcing them to, even if they want to, forego motherhood, which I think is also a problem. I think women should be able to do what they want.
Well, I'm trying. It's hard to have a conversation with somebody who says,
the sexism I face in this country, I just get called emotional.
So true.
But it's hard to have a conversation with somebody who just says, I feel this, you know what I mean? It's like, how do you address that in a conversation? You say, I see this, I'm not blind. I mean, that's not really a concrete.
Well, I listed before that.
Let's talk about those. Antidepressants didn't exist 100 years ago. What relevance does that have on the happiness of women then and now?
They did have dildos, though.
I mean...
which was medicine.
Them get more and more on antidepressants.
Well, men are
medicinal
dildos too. I think those
we're not talking about men.
But if men and women are getting on antidepressants at the same rate, then
why can't we have a conversation about women without talking about the men?
Because
you're comparing them to men. So
I can't answer questions if you.
Oops, sorry.
You keep interrupting me when I'm trying to answer you.
Go ahead.
So it's like 90% of women are on contraceptive or have been on contraceptives at some point in their life. 1 out of 3 women has. Okay. 1 out of 4 women have an STD. 1 out of 3 women has had an abortion.
Okay.
It's like these aren't good numbers. Like, do you genuinely think that sleeping around is good for women?
What do you mean? How is being on a contraceptive not good? Don't you dislike abortion? Don't you think it would be good that these women are on contraceptives? So if they accidentally get if the cum enters them, they're able to not get pregnant in the first place. Wouldn't you say that would be good? Like, why are you now like contraceptive is bad? Like, what's wrong with contraceptives? What's going on? That includes things like condoms as well. Do you think the women eat the condoms? Have you never had sex either? Do you think the women eat the condoms to be able to like not have the baby come out? Like, what are you talking about? Gobbled.
I don't think, in my opinion, mass sleeping around, like you're talking about, like 100+ partners, isn't good for men or women.
Okay.
That's my
Do you
opinion.
think sleeping with multiple partners is good?
I think it's completely fine. I don't think there's an issue with women having multiple partners.
Do you think it's good for them? Do you think it's good for
I think
women?
it depends on the person and the relationships. I mean, the premise is neutral.
Matters.
The premise doesn't imply, you know, people, men and women, have good and bad relationships. Some benefit them, some don't.
Overall, multiple partners, you would say good for women or bad for women?
I literally cannot
average-
answer that question because it makes no sense. It depends on the relationships.
Like, wait, what does
Isn't
sleeping around
you know.
mean? Well, I can't answer this question. She would have to define what sleeping around means. What is sleeping around? What does sleeping around mean? Like, what, like, by definition, what is that? Because I'm just not sure. If she means by sleeping around as in like you've had like 3 partners, or like 3 sexual partners before, like, I don't know. If that's sleeping around, then yeah, it's probably fine. If you're talking about like 100, then no, it's probably, you probably have like an STD or something. More likely than not. She means you have more than 1 partner. If you've had more than -1 partner, okay, then you're hoe posting. Then you're whoremaxing, and it needs to stop. The whoremaxing needs to stop. It needed to stop a long time ago. I love that. I think more people should start saying that. I love saying it needs to stop. It needed to stop a long time ago. It's so good. I'm so surprised that really didn't get. I know people like I know it was like super contentious when it came out, but like, how in the world did that not become like a little mini catchphrase inside of the community? Like, how in the world did that not happen? How did Weasley Little Liar Dude get there, but not it needed to stop? It needed to stop a long time ago. Not, because that's so good. It's so funny. It makes me laugh every time I say it, I swear. Ooh, man. Oh, man. Sometimes I need, like, I was going to make a tweet and I'm like, you guys need to, about on Twitter. And I was like, you guys need to lighten up more. Because I see some of you all take things too seriously. Sometimes you need to laugh a little bit more. I don't know why you all are so allergic to laughing sometimes. There's something going on. Sometimes you gotta, I find it how a lot of people, they think that I'm pretty curious because I do what I do. And a lot of the times I do it with a smile or I'm laughing. And I get a lot of comments, even still to this very day, that ask me how I laugh so much at, they ask me how I can find the, I don't know, strength, I guess, to laugh. But I don't know. I don't think it's very hard. These people are like just ridiculous. Have you seen them before? Like, look at these people. Look at her. She has the brain of a literal fetus. How can you not think that this is hilarious? Like, genuinely. Some people ask me, how am I laughing? I ask you, how do you not laugh? How do you not laugh listening to this? They're so silly. They're genuinely silly. They're Hong Kong clowns. They got their big red noses. How can you not think that this is hilarious? Oh man. Oh man. It's so good. It's so good. I swear. But yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of people need to laugh a little bit more, even at the wacky things. Because I made a joke on the Bird app and everybody was like, "Oh, are you okay?" I can never just, even like if it's like slightly self-deprecating. Everybody's always like, "OMG, I can't believe you've done this. OMG, are you okay?" I get I make a slightly self-deprecating joke and I get DMs like, "Shark, you can talk to me whenever you want." Laugh. Stop being so goddamn stuck up all the time. Have a little bit of a giggle, okay? Calm down. Learned this is why you have to, this is why I've been able to do politics for like 3 years straight, like 3.5, 4 years straight now. And then other people need to take like crazy breaks or burn out and then drop out of the, yeah, honestly, literally why it's so serious. Almost literally why it's so serious. That's why I've been able to be here and other people need like crazy breaks. You need to learn to laugh. Why so, I'm not doing it.
So what value do you think you'll be settling on in your own personal life?
What value will I be settling on in my personal
what man do you think is reasonable for you to pursue?
I just kind of, I think that's a bit of a inappropriate like question, but
Really? You spend your entire job is to comment on other people's lives, unsolicited commenting on other people's lives, and digging into their mindset when they don't even know who you are and don't want you talking about them. And you're going to come out here, and when the same standard is put to you, you go, that's inappropriate. Then what are you doing? What are you doing then? Just say you're a low value woman looking for your low value man. if that's the case, just be happy. Be happy in mid. Just be mid and happy. Go ahead.
That's interesting because you spend like all day talking about this stuff. I find that it's really interesting to have you put this analysis into use. Why is it?
Well, because the way you're framing the question is a bit disingenuous.
Like what?
I think most women, and
how is it disingenuous?
Yeah, I think it's a bit disingenuous.
Why?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it disingenuous?
Mm-hmm.
I'm analyzing your viability by your own metrics, which you do all day to other women and men. Why is that disingenuous?
Unsolicited for no reason. Yes, you do.
Okay.
Don't you try it? Yes, you do.
Like, I think it's fair to say, because we're talking to women about expectations and men about expectations based on their value. I think it's fair to say, okay, well, what's your value of man you're looking for based on your own?
Yeah, tell women that they're
what's my
almost
value
worthless.
To
So
no. What value?
No,
of
like
man?
I wish I don't know what you want me to say. Like I wish I was a virgin. I should have waited.
No.
Like I don't know what. Like I don't. Most guys don't expect that in 2023, unfortunately. I think men adapt to the market, but I think to say that you should just sleep around is a bit silly.
That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking.
Well, that you were saying that. Like,
I don't know. I'm not the main character of to Rent a Girlfriend, so I actually don't spend all day tossing and turning and jerking off to my girlfriend, possibly having sex with other guys. I just I don't know, like, she's my girlfriend now. I don't really spend time thinking about her having sex with other people that much. That's just me though. White woman's been here. How do you know? Dog prints, paw prints. White man's been here. How do you know? Cuck porn.
So you're saying that all men want to have sex with younger women. This is kind of interesting data, but are you aware that the MILF category is like the most popular? It was the #1 most searched term in 2018.
Yeah,
MILF.
Yeah, men like to have sex with older women.
But why is it the most searched for?
Yeah,
they're looking for MILFs, and when they watch porn.
Are you saying porn is the same thing as marriage and relationships?
You say men want to have sex with young girls.
You think YouTube videos are the same thing as
women? When you say young girls, it's a bit.
Okay, 22. I mean, what do you want me to say?
That is a young
women,
girl.
22-year-olds.
I mean, young
Why
woman?
then are they going to Pornhub and looking up MILFs if they just want to, if they prefer? And this is the most searched. Wouldn't they be searching for like teen or something? 2018, yeah.
Men aren't that picky. You know what I mean?
No. It's not about picky. It's about preference. They look for.
Okay, so I have a question. Why do you think like the #1, like they swipe right on younger women?
That's
do you
just the thing
think
you said.
What
do you mean by younger? You mean like 20, or do you mean like a couple years younger than
I
me?
don't know that.
Now I'm asking, do you think it's equal? Are you equally attracted to the average 55-year-old versus 22-year-old?
I would be more equally attracted to someone closer to my age where I am in life, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I would
maybe
say,
like -5 years.
Yeah, but younger typically. Not older.
Well, I mean,
it's
plus or
interesting
minus
that
5.
Younger and 20 and 50 are
okay, you said younger
much
first,
different
but...
ranges.
I'm telling you, plus or minus.
Okay.
There's no take-backsies? No take-backs. You said younger. Yeah, but so how do you explain that?
Most women want to date 5 to 7 years older. I think men go like 5 years younger.
Is there any way to explain why MILF is the most searched category?
Guys like to watch, a hot mom have sex. Yeah.
More than
Guys, I have the ultimate porn idea, okay? You mix you mix the weirdo guys who like barely legal girls with the MILF guys. And then you mix it all together. And so you'll have an older woman who looks barely legal and has braces, but also has kids and was a teen mom. There you go. And I feel like that would probably, raking in the Boku bucks, Raking in the Boku bucks.
than a young girl.
I
has
hate
sex,
that.
Apparently.
Are they the top porn stars? Because I thought those were younger women. I thought it was like the ones that, I mean, I don't actually watch that stuff.
I could
so
never
don't know,
name a
I
but-
don't
porn
know the
star
stats, but I'm just telling you
ever.
based on search that people are looking up
Personally,
MILF
so-
way more than teen and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So that
I
is
mean, okay.
interesting, though.
Do you think it's better for a woman to get married at 35 than 22?
I think it's neutral. I think it
Better
depends on
for
a lot of
what?
things. I do think women who get married young have a higher rate of divorce.
Yeah, if you're talking straight up, if you're just talking about divorce, then 35. If you're talking about having kids, then younger, I guess. But I would honestly say around the age of like 25 to 28.
Here is an interesting regarding men wanting to sleep with younger women.
The top.
So I've been trying to source that figure.
How old is Abella Danger? How old is
Who?
she?
How old is?
Is she one of them newfangled
27.
porn stars,
That's pretty
e-girl
old in
porn
your
stars or
world, isn't
something?
Lana Rhodes, Riley Reid. Yeah, but that's not a MILF.
No.
'Cause I think, and for us, it's like 18 to
Rhodes'
28.
age. Lana
typically.
Rhodes is
Lana Rhodes is 26.
26. Yeah.
Yeah,
But again,
18
the
to
most
20
searched,
It's,
but like
18 to 28,
just
which
because
is
just because they're the most popular doesn't mean it's the most popular category.
Also, their 26 is over the hill,
I
right?
got the top. The
It
top
is over the
categories
hill.
I have is ebony, lesbian, threesome.
I don't see any 22-year-old head large mainstream porn
I
stars.
mean, 22 versus 26. It's not that. Like we say, 18 and 28.
She
is
says
the
it's not
woman's
that.
peak.
20. What's the woman's peak?
Between 18 and 28. I mean, it
28?
slowly declines after like 22 or 23. It slowly declines, but
Excuse me.
My goodness.
18 to 28 is
And
woman's
peak,
peak.
peak as in what? What does peak mean?
Peak like looks wise.
Okay, looks wise.
Mhm.
So I've been trying this claim that men between ages 20 and 80 want to have sex with 22-year-olds. I haven't been able to find any source for that. The only source I've been able to find is from this
Do we
book.
put the prisoners to work?
Say what?
Do we put the
Slavery?
prisoners to work.
They already
Yeah.
do. Yeah, they
That's
do.
exactly what we do
They're
currently.
slaves already. They work for like 10 cents an hour.
Holy
Yeah, but
crap!
only-
Look at that. We just saw the Caucasian woman at this very moment invent slavery in her own head. She just apropos of nothing just invented slavery. That is wild. She was like, "What if we just force people to work? What if we just capture people, put them in cages, and force them to do work for us?" Huh? That's crazy. All right then.
To profit.
Yeah,
and you wonder how it came about. There you go.
Benefit you at all.
We saw it firsthand.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a good system.
You seem very knowledgeable in the prison system. I wouldn't call myself a prison expert.
Yeah, and
you
that's
know?
that's fair. We don't.
Yeah, I don't think you. I wouldn't call you
expect you to be.
expert in anything,
So,
honestly.
in terms
but-
of sourcing, this claim that old men want to have sex with, not old men, all men want to have sex with 22-year-olds around that age. The only source for that I could
So
find.
they find that the most attractive.
The only source for that I could find was a book called.
Can you look up
Catechism.
what's the okay, yeah.
The way that these numbers are sourced is pretty poor. So it's not really that high quality of a source. But I'll read you the results.
said,
It does
"Oh."
say that men 20 to 50 find 23-year-olds most attractive. But in the same study, it says, but women that men find they're most interested in are women of their similar age.
wow.
But they found the 23-year-olds the most attractive.
But not the
Okay, fine, sure, but like, just finding somebody attractive isn't the only prerequisite to wanting to date somebody. You could just be like, oh, they're hot, but I don't want to date them. Like, how in the world can? And she's talking about guys here. So many guys. It's so more often that guys would say that girl's hot, but I would never marry or date her. But I would have sex with her. Than for girls to say the same thing in reverse. Most of the time, women, if they would want to, if they are open to sleeping with a guy, they would be also open to dating a guy. Not all the time, but it's way closer than with men usually. How is she going to sit here and then use attractiveness when we all know that's true? But okay.
most.
How did they source interested in and desirable?
Well, who do you want to
think
date?
it means-
Who do you think is
just
hot
ask them?
versus who do you want to date?
It's the
Doesn't
whole.
seem
Yeah,
that
it's
hard.
pretty
How
fast.
they-
I mean, it wasn't even really a study. This was a book. And I'm sorry if this isn't what you got your statistics from, but it was the closest thing that we could find to the stats that you were laying out. And it did, again, it has shown that 20 to 50 men, when asked who they find the most attractive, the answers generally fall in that range 20 to 23. However, this wasn't really a study. This was a book by the CEO of OkCupid. And
Nice
he was
one.
basing all of this off of analyzing the raw data from OkCupid, and this was in 2014, so it was about a decade ago.
But they're most interested.
Right, and they found the same conclusion that Ethan just pointed out, that though they may find younger women more attractive, who they are interested in dating falls generally much closer to their own age.
But if you have a better,
it's kind of like that thing where people say women want like tall guys. In reality, they just want guys who are slightly taller.
But I'm saying it starts with looks for men. You're not going to get in the door unless you look a certain way.
Yeah,
so,
okay,
I mean, there's some older women that right, that look good enough to get into the door, but it starts with swiping, and that starts with looks. So if they find the 22-year-olds the most attractive, that's what you need to get in the door first. It's not to say that every woman
that doesn't mean they're going to, just because they're in the door doesn't mean they're still open to dating them.
It's going to be a lot harder.
They're just standing there.
I think it's dishonest to say it's going to be equally.
You can get into the having legs is a prerequisite to walking into a Lamborghini dealership. That doesn't mean you're going to leave with a new car.
That's all you're just saying stuff. I mean, you're just saying stuff based on what you think is real. But I don't think any of that
slightly
is
older.
I mean, I could find it. I mean, I don't have like a team like you guys have.
But you say this stuff all the time on your shows, so I would expect you to be somewhat familiar with the.
I mean, it just depends on, like, sometimes you forget which one.
Sure.
You know.
You want to name a couple it could be from?
Give me a second. I'll find it.
I bet she will.
Did you know that the number 5 porn star of all time is Lisa Ann? She's 51 years old. Brandy Love is number 8. She's 50. Men, they like MILFs, man.
Women, am I right?
Men like MILFs. They like experienced women to know what they're doing. They like men like that.
Do you think that men want that for relationships?
Like MILF porn.
Do you think men want to date a child for relationships because they're more attractive?
I think men prefer younger women in general.
In relationships.
Stop. She's conflating. Stop. Stop saying 50-year-old dudes want to date 20-year-olds when what you actually mean is 50-year-old dudes would like to date 45-year-old girls. Stop.
Yes.
That's just, I'm sorry, but that's not even backed up by your own data. It says men are more
younger than them, typically.
Younger than them, that's a different, that's not men want to date 22-year-olds. A 50-year-old
they're the most attracted to 22-year-olds and look.
Stop, who cares? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't just get you in the door. That's just step one.
You're saying different things. In this culture, if a man is walking around with a 22-year-old, people are going to think that's weird. People think it's weird.
It says 2 out of the 5 top porn stars in Pornhub are 23 and under, and all of the people that you're listing started young.
So they're old now.
Yeah, they built their fan base.
I don't think it really works that way.
But they're old. They shouldn't be. They shouldn't be hot.
I don't think it works that way. You guys are in media. You know damn well that you build a fan base.
Bro, what do you think? They're YouTubers? They're not doing Minecraft Let's Plays.
Her audience grows with her.
Come on.
I don't find that analysis very interesting, and apparently you don't either, because
Sweetie Fox 22.
Yeah, there's porn stars who are 22.
Yeah, of course.
Anybody want to admit who
the majority?
They know who that is.
The majority are younger.
Yeah, but not the popular ones.
The most popular ones are younger. Most popular ones are younger.
They're like in late 20s.
This talk is insane right now.
What?
This talk is absolutely insane. I'm flabbergasted, if I'm going to be honest with you.
Sorry. I let her outside. It's kind of hot in here.
I want to ask you.
The number 1 porn star is 23.
They stink.
It's either, let me see, it's Eva.
Oh, it's Joe Mama.
Who's the number 1?
I just don't think it really.
The number 1 porn
either
star on
point.
Pornhub is 23.
Who?
Eva Elfie is 23.
She's not number 1.
What I'm saying is number 1.
But even if that's true, I don't think that refutes anything. I mean, it's possible that number 1 is 23. But
you said,
she's not number 1.
You just said it. You just said it refuted it. If that the number 1 search was MILFs.
Can we move forward a little bit?
What makes them less such? Men don't want hoes. Men don't want women that have slept with multiple people.
We're talking about 5 to 7 partners. Why don't
men are perfectly fine with women who've had multiple partners in their history. Now, obviously, there's like an upper limit. Most women have like 3. What was it, like 4? Was it like 4? 4? I think I looked at it. It was like 4 or 5 lifetime partners. Women have like 4 or 5 partners in their entire lifetime, and men have, I think, slightly more, like 5 to 6, something along those lines. I'm perfectly fine with a slut. I don't really care how many people you slept with, as long as I don't have to deal with it. Like, you know, unless like we walk down the street and there's like 70 guys are like, yo, nice pussy, bitch. I came in your pussy. That honestly, it would just be really awkward more than anything else. Like every single day. It'd be a little much. But at that point is like having a hot mom, you know, where everybody keeps saying that they want to have sex with your mom. And you're like, can you just leave me alone? But it's different. Then it would be everybody saying that they did have sex with your mom. And then you're like, I'm going to be filing a restraining order. You know what I mean? You know how dogs is and all that. I never knew a girl named Stacy.
Men want hoes.
Do you want a woman with a lot of bodies?
5 to 7.
What's a
I don't
lot?
consider. I think that's totally like.
Well, I think most men would, you know, pray for that nowadays. But
How much?
What do you think most men would pray for?
Who? Where do you live, woman? What do you mean? The average girl you know has slept with like 50 guys or something? What are you saying? Hello? Holy crap. Has she really not lived a real human being life in her entire life? Holy crap. Has she not lived a real life before? Does she genuinely believe the average woman by the time she's like 30 or something, like around 30, has had like 50 partners? What are you talking about? Guys, pray for a girl who only has had like 7 partners. What are you saying? That's like the upper limit for how many women typically have in their entire lifetime. What are you saying, woman? Who is this lady? Is she a plant? Is she a CIA asset to make the manosphere guys look bad? Is that what she actually is? This entire time was JustPearlyThings a social experiment made by H3 this entire time, and then he's going to come out and then say, and they're going to like do a bow together and scene. Like, what's going on? What do you mean? I'm losing my mind, dude. What in the world? I don't know. Maybe like I've seen a lot of these types of people. They're posted up in places like London and Miami, where there's like, in like Las Vegas, where there's like a huge sex culture there. And so, yeah, I would imagine people there have a higher likelihood of having way more partners than, I don't know, anywhere else in like the country or something. But women typically have like sleep with like 3 guys by the time they're like in their lifetime. I'm going to be honest with you. Usually like 3 to 5. This lady's insane.
There's only 10% of women in the United States have more than 15 partners. The average number is 4.2.
did that study was for women? It included older women too, though, didn't it?
25 to 44.
Yeah, I just think it would probably be more.
What do you mean? What are you saying? Are you trying to sit here and tell me that like 19-year-old girls have like 50 partners each? Don't you dare try and say that. I swear, I will reach through this screen, Pearl. Don't you do it. All right? I'm gonna You've heard of smell-o-vision. Just wait until you see freaking ring-o-vision, okay? I will do something. You need to stop before you sit here and tell me that you genuinely believe that girls fresh out of high school have like 50 partners each, that have had like 50 sexual partners each. Stop talking, okay? It's already kind of hard enough to sleep with like your average girl. It's already kind of hard enough to sleep with like 4 guys after high school or something. It genuinely is like reasonably difficult, especially if you actually have a life that you need that you have like going on and stuff like that. It's just kind of ridiculous. I don't know, man. If this woman genuinely believes that like 21-year-old girls around the country, your average one has like 350 sexual partners. Did she ever look at that? Does she look at like TikToks of girls being like, oh, the 753 guys that I've slept with, and actually genuinely thinks that that's indicative of your average girl's experience? I'm losing my mind. I'm losing it, bro.
All right, one last thing. I see that we're
She
getting
is dying
here. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
This woman is dying.
Drake's saying, "I want a girl with a future and a past." That's a lyric of his. He wants an experienced girl. Even Drake's talking about it in his damn lyrics. Drake doesn't want a virgin.
You just said no celebrities. That's crazy. How you just threw that out the window now.
Yeah, you don't want to talk about it. Drake wants a girl with a future and a past.
Oh, stop! His simp pandering music to women. He makes money off of that. Women are like, come on.
I mean, like the girls do like Drake. That is true. They like it when he goes embarrassing and then has yellow nail polish. The girls do like it. I will say. I can't lie. But still, ew, no. Not all of them, but some of them do. It's crazy. Jake is a PDF though. Millie Bobby Brown be like,
Drake. All right, let's talk about one last thing. And I do thank you for being here. You know, it's combative, but
thank you,
lady.
It's a
good conversation.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see you there. If you're enjoying the content, hit the subscribe button. If you don't, it'll make Boo very sad. I know a bunch of you who are watching are not subscribed. Join the frenzy. You won't regret it. Thank you, Boo.